Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our probably the most exciting episode of Mark's Side of the Ring. I am your host, Miguel Minetti, alongside my two co-hosts, Nick Fiorentino, Fred DeCourt. What's going on, boys?
What's happening?
What's going on, man?
How's everyone doing today? Everyone good?
Doing
good.
Very
good.
Fantastic.
Can't complain.
Well, we have a tremendous treat for all of our listeners today. It is going to be our definitely most anticipated episode. We have none other than Carlito, the former United States Tag Team and Intercontinental Champion, joining us momentarily. He will be coming on the show with us today from Mark's Side of the Ring. I'm very excited to interview him, you guys, and I know you both are as well, too. Fred, tell us a little bit about your thoughts of Carlito. Obviously, we saw him just as recent as Raw last week.
Right.
Were you a big fan of his growing up?
Yeah, I was. I thought he was really new and fresh at the time. At a time when he debuted in 2004, they were kind of having some trouble developing new stars at the time. Really, the only guys was Cena and Orton, and he was somebody that was different. He didn't look like Cena or Orton. He had a great character, and one of the things that really intrigued me about Carlito were his vignettes. It was like kind of a throwback to years ago. They hadn't really done vignettes that much, at that time anymore. So when they started airing his, I was like, oh, wow, this is cool. And by the time he debuted, you develop a rapport kind of with the character because you've seen him on your screen for the last however long they run them. But yeah, I was excited when he debuted, and I thought he had a great look, and he definitely started off with a bang, winning the Intercontinental title his first night there.
Absolutely.
U.S. title. I apologize.
Yes, you're right. And we are so excited to interview him coming up momentarily. But before we get to that, Nick, why don't you tell the listeners at home about some of the other exciting things that we have for TruExact Radio?
Definitely. So TruExact Radio is continuing to just kind of grow and grow. And obviously, we mentioned last week, we have a website now, TruExactRadio.com. We now have merchandise, which is super cool. We have Mark's Side of the Ring merchandise. We have Sharp Bets and Fantasy Sets merchandise. Truth be told, the way the website works, we can't get you free anything. We can't get you free texting gloves. Lindsay, stop asking. We can't do it. But we have a lot of cool merchandise. Check it out for sure. Some of the cool things that are coming down on the TruExact Radio Network, which you can check out on YouTube, but you can also find all of our archived shows on the website itself, is TruExact Radio. The show on Friday is going to have Satire, who's a West Coast artist who kind of learned about rhyming in kindergarten and grew up throughout to become a West Coast artist. Scott, Mr. TruExact himself, on, I believe this Saturday on Instagram Live, is doing the top 15 cartoon theme songs, which if you're an old school, cartoon fan as a kid growing up, I was told from Scott he's working really hard on the list. The songs have to have lyrics to them. I forgot how great of a theme song Darkwing Duck was, but I digress. And you never asked us about our drink. In honor of our guests, I have a Washington Apple, which is Canadian whiskey, apple pucker, and cranberry juice. So some fun stuff coming in. I'm excited about Carlito too, man. I was a huge Razor Ramon mark as a kid. And he kind of has some Razor Ramon in him. I'm excited to get into it with him and talk to him. Obviously, his Rumble return, at number 8. A lot of cool stuff to get into. It's going to be a fun show, and I hope you guys like the new setup. I worked hard on this.
Yeah, man, we love it.
Very nice.
Looks great.
It's not as good as Fred's, but
well, Fred's got the Ultimate Wrestling collection behind him. So, like Nick mentioned, we're all very excited to kind of ask him some questions, right? Talk about his Royal Rumble return, talk about his match on Raw last week, and of course, talk about his early days, right? Back in 2004 when he debuted. So, in his first night, winning the United States Championship against John Cena. I mean, the company must have had some tremendous amount of respect and trust in him. So really good things to see and hear here. Fred, what are you drinking? Now, we didn't get to you, buddy.
Yeah, well, I'm drinking nothing fancy, just drinking good old beverage of beer. Nothing crazy, but if you want to correlate it to Carlito, I am drinking Sam Adams, which is a Boston beer company, which is the city that Carlito debuted in on SmackDown when he won the United States Championship. So that's my correlation to Carlito with what I'm drinking. Boston.
Nice. Absolutely. Good stuff there. So we talked about this upcoming Saturday, right? You said Scott has the TruExact show, right? A live special, which is going to be tremendous. Make sure everyone does check it out. Of course, you can watch any of our shows, plus some of the other great shows that are there as well, too, on TruExact Radio. And it looks like he's actually going to be joining us right now. So we'll go ahead and we'll let him on in. I think he's connecting to the audio here. Carlito, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Miguel, alongside my two co-hosts here, which is Fred and Nick.
How's it going, Carlito? Pleasure.
Hey, there you go. There they are. What's up, guys?
How you doing, man?
Can you see us?
Doing good so far.
What happened?
They're doing good so far.
Good. Glad to hear that. Well,
Good thing I asked you guys because I didn't know, because I'm in Central Time. So I was like, they probably mean Eastern.
Nick did say that. He's like, oh, yeah, he asked for Eastern. So we're like, oh, thank God we told him about it. So that's great. But we appreciate your time today, sir. What we're going to do, if it's okay with you, we're just going to ask you just a bunch of questions here, just kind of, keep it casual, shoot the shit type of thing, and, just find out a little bit about yourself. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Awesome. So I'm going to kick it off, Carly. I'm going to ask you, obviously the first question I want to know is, what did it feel like to return almost 10 years later, right, at the Royal Rumble 2 weeks ago, or now it's probably almost 3 weeks ago? How did it feel kind of entering that first match you've had in almost 10 years?
You talking about Raw or are you talking about the Rumble?
I'm sorry, talking about the Royal Rumble.
Rumble, yeah, it was great, man. It was weird. Like I haven't been in over 10 years, but at the same time, it felt very familiar. Even though it was a bunch of new faces, there was still, behind the scenes. Some people are still there from when I was there. That they were there even before I was there. So that's, it was weird. Like it felt different, but it felt at the same time, it felt the same.
Yeah, I mean, it was something that a couple of buddies of mine we were watching, and when your music hit, we just thought we started definitely popping pretty hard for it when we saw your name and saw you come out, which was really cool to see. We want to get your opinion and your thoughts on the Thunderdome. What was your first initial reaction when you first saw it?
Man, it's impressive. But, it's one thing to see it on TV, but to see it there in person, it's crazy, man. WWE, man, they pull out all the stops with everything they do. The only thing is that, no matter what kind of production you do, it's not the same without having people out there. It was weird because you see faces and stuff, but it's just flat, I don't know, it's weird, just flat monitors. And so it's like, I kind of see people, I hear people, but at the same time, it's just weird. It's got to be weird for everybody that, that's used to performing in front of an audience.
Sure. I was going to ask you if inside the arena, can you hear everything that we hear at home on TV?
I don't know. I think the sounds are piped in because I don't know how you could replicate that. And plus, because everyone's at home on the computer, so there's nobody, they're away from everybody, so they can yell or say whatever they want. So you can't have that either. So I'm assuming that there's different adjustments on how to make the whole thing work. So yeah, I don't know exactly what you guys hear, but for us, it's loud and it's still, the building's still full of energy, but at the same time, yeah, I know it's just weird, man. It's very different.
Well, yeah, I think we can all agree. We hope things go back to normal as soon as possible, but definitely really, really cool to see and very impressive nevertheless. Fred, I know you have a few questions.
Yeah, Carlito, thank you again for joining us. We saw you for the first time in 10 years at the Royal Rumble, which was amazing. But prior to that, you had been advertised by WWE for the Raw Legends Night back on January 4th, and everybody was really excited about that, myself included. And then it didn't happen. And then there was some talk that you weren't actually booked, and then that it was an advertising snafu. So I was just wondering what exactly happened. What's the story with the Raw Legends Night? Did they want to save you for the Rumble then when they had that idea?
Yeah, they invited me to Legends Night first, and then they called me back a couple of days before, and they're like, why are we bringing you to Legends Night? Why don't we use you for something bigger? Why don't we bring you back for the Rumble? And I was like, you know what? I'd actually prefer that just going for Legends Night. So yeah, that was basically the idea. It was like they announced it, and then they came back to me like we got a better idea for you. I was like, yeah, they haven't seen you so long. It's better. Why kind of waste it on Legends Night? Let's bring you in for something bigger. I was like, yeah, but I didn't turn anything down. It was them that said, we want to bring you in for something bigger.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I definitely think it was the right call. I mean, because your appearance at the Rumble was worth the wait, and it was an amazing moment. So Nick, I'll let you take it from here.
Sure. Obviously, Carlito, thanks, for joining us and everything. Big fan as well. And, one of the biggest topics I think that we've seen, on some of the interviews you've already done, and I know sitting with my friends watching the Rumble, socially distanced, of course, was your physical transformation. I mean, you look, I know, you look like you're in absolute tremendous shape. So I guess I have a two-part question. What was your aha moment where you decided, hey, I got to do something different and change up my physique? Was it dieting, different exercise regimen? And I guess the other question is, do you feel like at the age you're at right now, are you in the best shape of your life?
I don't know, because I've been in this kind of shape for a couple of years now. Just I never went anywhere. Nobody saw me on TV. I didn't go to promotion. So, some people thought I was dead. I was like, no, just because, so you're not on TV doesn't mean, something happened to you. But I've been like this for the people that have seen me on the independent scene, they've seen me like this for the past, I would say, 7-8 years. I've been like this. I just decided to switch things up. I was tired of, I was in a bad place before. I think I weighed like 190 pounds or something. So I never weighed that since I was a teenager. And I got to get my stuff together. I talked to Chris Masters. He's always gave good help. He looks like he knows what he's doing. I call him up. He'd help me out and tell me nutrition stuff. Sometimes he tell me to do some keto, do cardio at this certain hour, not that hour. Do the weights then, and then kind of followed his guidance and just took it from there.
Great. I mean, outside of the talk of your physical appearance, how has the feedback been from fans? Obviously, you were a fan favorite throughout. I mean, even going back to the Hall of Fame, you're getting the chance when you're coming out, as a returning guy. How has the feedback been from your return at the Rumble?
Man, it's been great. I didn't expect it. After 10 years, I was expecting a lot of fans to be, to come out and say, who's this guy, But because a lot of times I've seen a lot of kids. The parents are explaining to them who I am, because you forget now, if a kid is like under, I would say I don't know what age, but they don't know who Carlito is. So it was funny to see the parents explain to their kids, and they're just looking at them like, like, all right, dad, whatever, or mom. And but what never fails is they tell them I beat John Cena, and then their eyes light up. They're all of a sudden like, I don't know who this guy is, but if he beat John Cena, he's got to be somebody.
I hear that.
It happens every time. It's the weirdest thing, man. It's great to see their faces light up like that.
That is tremendous. And kind of sticking on that topic with John Cena, I wanted to ask you, what did it feel like to beat John Cena for the United States Championship in your debut televised match back on, I think it was October 7th, 2004? What was going through your mind that day?
Yeah, so that was so long ago. I hardly remember. I just remember, like anything. It was our first match on TV, or at least on on WWE TV, against their biggest superstar, and to beat him that night was, it's like a dream come true. I don't know what else you could ask for a debut. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel the company must have had a tremendous amount of trust in you to obviously go on your debut match, and even though John Cena wasn't maybe at the peak yet of his claim to fame, he certainly was definitely a recognizable.
He was on the rise.
He was clearly on the rise. So that is really, really great to see that. And I remember watching that live thinking, wow, this is really, really cool. No pun intended. But can you talk a little bit about your...
Yeah, of course.
You talk a little bit about your first run with the United States Championship. How did you feel it went overall? I mean, what was going through your mind during that time frame?
It was not great because if you remember, I injured my shoulder about...
Yep.
What, 2 months in or something? I don't know. I don't know how many times I wrestled for the championship, but I remember right after that I injured my shoulder. But actually at the same time, it was also a blessing in disguise because then that's when they gave me the microphone and they let me do Carlito's Cabana or just character stuff, which I think helped me a lot too to get over with the people.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you think during that time frame when you were injured, did that help you with your promo skills or? Is that what you started to feel?
No, I think I was pretty polished growing up from, in the business with my, I was in my dad's promotion for, well, ever since I was like 14, I'd gone through different positions in the company. And then I'd been wrestling for a couple of years. I'd already wrestled in front of 10,000, 12,000 people. So I was kind of, all these things weren't new to me. It was just adjusting to a different style and a different crowd. But, I think mainly my learning how to talk on the mic, I learned that in Puerto Rico. If you look at my first couple of promos in Puerto Rico, just horrendous. But then after, then I got comfortable, and then you couldn't take a microphone away from me. It was weird.
I got a follow-up question to that real quick. And you mentioned your father and your father's promotion. You're obviously a second-generation superstar. How much pressure did you feel being a second-generation superstar to Carlos Colon? I mean, obviously, in Puerto Rico, I mean, I hate to use the expression, he's the Hulk Hogan or the Ric Flair, but he really was like the man. I mean, the 26-time champion, I believe. So he's got Flair beat, too, in terms of world championships. But how much pressure did you feel being a second-generation superstar to a guy who was so big?
Honestly, not much. Because I remember the first thing I wanted to do, I think every second generation or third generation, is you want to be your own person. You know what I mean? I never wanted to be my next dad. I never wanted to be the next anybody. I always wanted to do, they always ask you, like, who was your idol and stuff growing up? I said, it was a bunch of guys that I admired and I probably took stuff from, but I never wanted to be the next anybody. My main goal was to do my own thing. And then, like the first couple of, let's say years, maybe the first year, second year. Yeah, of course, especially being in Puerto Rico, there was pressure on, you at least be good. You know what I mean? I said, man, I just hope I don't suck. But it was weird. It's weird. I had this confidence because I had seen it my whole life. I kind of knew how to do stuff before I even did it. I just didn't realize the only thing I didn't realize was how much stuff hurt. Like even running the ropes, I was like, oh, wait a minute, that's not like how I thought. And then you take your first bump, it's like, oh, I don't know if I can do this every night. So, but then, your body just gets used to it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, no, speaking of your father, Carlos Colon, he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2014. I had the honor of being there that night in New Orleans. But that was the first time we had seen you in a few years in a WWE arena. Everybody's saying 10 years, since your in-ring appearance, but you had made that one-night appearance in 2014. Just wanted to know how that came about. Was there any resistance on your end from going back for that one night? Was there any talks with anybody in the office about maybe making a comeback? Just general thoughts on that evening.
No, I was just brought in for that night. There was no talks or anything. I was glad to, of course. I mean, I was honored to be there to induct my dad into the Hall of Fame. Who wouldn't want to induct their dad? And I was happy to be back. See the boys and stuff. But it was just the one thing. I just came in. I didn't really talk to anybody. It was just about business or whatever. It was just come in and so it was my dad's night. So I was more than happy to be there just for that.
Right. Well, I know everybody, definitely was happy to see you that night. It was a big evening for sure.
You mentioned before how you've always had polished mic skills, and I agree. I mean, you're one of the best on the mic to me. I mean, I always enjoyed it. I was back in college when you were having your run, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I wanted to talk to you real quick about WrestleMania 21 is your debut. You don't have a match, but you have a bit with Roddy Piper and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Could you have imagined a bigger Mania moment, or would you have rather have had that? I hate to say, would you rather have had a match than talk with two of the biggest icons in the history of wrestling? But how did you feel? Like, was that like a pinch yourself moment that, it's WrestleMania 21, it's your WrestleMania debut, you're in the ring with the main event of WrestleMania 1 and one of the biggest, arguably, superstars of all time?
Oh man, of course, I'd take that over a match any day. You know what I mean? I mean, it depends. I'd have to go back and look at everyone's payoff, but for me, yeah. I mean, I'd take that over a match. Being there with Stone Cold and Piper, come on, I couldn't ask for anything better for my first Mania.
Did they pick you for that, or was that kind of just planned from above? You were going to be the guy that jumps in with those two.
I don't know. I don't. That was above my pay grade. I don't know how that works. I just know this is what you're doing. All right, cool.
I got you. I can imagine you didn't complain too much about that. I mean, that would have been that's an awesome.
No, I saw that. I was like, wow, okay. That probably
was a great segment
than my match. Cena. I was like, man, you're in there with these two. Please don't screw up.
Speaking of WrestleMania, Carlito, I wanted to ask you, how did it feel the first time? I think WrestleMania 23 was the first time, at least in WWE, where you performed in front of 70,000+ fans. How did it feel going to a stadium that day or that night, seeing how many fans were there versus the typical arena crowd?
It's funny, man. People don't realize it, but actually, the bigger the audience, the easier it is, or the less pressure you feel, because you don't see faces. All you just see is a mass of people. I've always said it's harder to talk in front of 20 or 30 people than 20 or 30,000. Because when I've been on those big arenas, I don't even see anybody. So I just see just a mass of a bunch of bodies, but I don't really see. I don't feel that personal connection because it's just too many people to focus on.
Yeah, wow. I mean, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that makes perfect sense. WrestleMania 24, I believe you were in the Money in the Bank ladder match, right? That must have been a really awesome moment for you, right? In front of 70,000 people as well.
It was until I decided to give Jericho that backstabber off the ladder, which I still remember until today. I was like, I think it hurt me more than it hurt him.
I remember that spot. Yeah, that must have hurt a lot.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, yeah, it did. Trust me, I'll never do that again.
Good stuff. Go ahead, Fred.
Yeah, no, going back to WrestleMania 23, you had a lumberjack match. It was you and Ric Flair teaming up to take on Gregory Helms and Chavo Guerrero on the kickoff. But originally, the rumor was that you were going to have a match with Ric Flair on the main show. You guys had that amazing program stemming from the infamous promo backstage. Just curious, what happened, to that? Do you recall, what the situation was, why that got pulled? Because I think you guys had a great story, and it was something that deserved to be on the card, maybe more than Big Show, Kane and Great Khali, for instance. Just curious what happened that night.
I got no comment on that.
Yeah,
but that was a long time ago. But back to again, that was above my pay grade. I don't know why it was changed or anything. I think because eventually, right, we got around to it. But
you did eventually have a match. Sure. I think at Judgment Day.
Yeah, like soon after. But it would have been great to have the Mania like that. Yeah.
Right.
Tremendous. Go ahead, Nick.
I have a list of questions. You mentioned the backstabber. So we're just fans. We're marks. That's the show, Mark's Side of the Ring. And of course we'd be lying if we say we didn't have matches as 6 or 7 year old kids, doing choke slams or whatever the case may be. One move that I would never let a friend who's not a trained professional do on me is the backstabber. I mean, you mentioned that one, but that move looks so incredibly painful. Probably the tombstone too, but that move looks so incredibly painful. My question for you was that? Oh, I'm not so familiar with your run in Puerto Rico. Was that always your finisher? Did that become your finisher in WWE? Did you ever have ideas of a different finisher, or did you always really like that one? And who taught it to you?
That's a good question. I don't know where I got it from. I must have seen it somewhere. But like I said, the rule in wrestling is whoever gets it on TV first, that's their move. So
okay,
I got it on TV first. It was my move.
I
probably saw it somewhere. But I think for the first year or two, I don't think I had a finisher. And then in Puerto Rico, my finisher was actually the stunner or the figure four, which is my dad's move, or Ric Flair, WWE, and of course the stunner was Stone Cold's. So then I just started doing the backstab as a move, and it was actually Cena's idea. He's like, "No, that looks so cool. Why don't you do it as a finisher?" I was like, "Well, if the guy is heavy, man. I'm taking a lot of weight on my back. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that every night." But eventually, it was mainly Cena that pushed it on me. He convinced me to use it as a finisher.
Oh, wow, very cool.
That's good to know.
Definitely believable.
Yeah.
So, Carlito, growing up as a kid, how involved were you with watching wrestling, and which promotions were maybe your favorite? Did you have a favorite wrestler growing up?
We're going way back now. Like I said, there was a bunch of guys I liked. I liked, of course, I liked Flair. I liked Macho Man. I think I was always a big fan of the bad guys. You know what I mean? I was just, I don't know why. It was weird too because I'd be in the locker room too, and it always seemed like the bad, the so-called bad guys were always nicer than the good guys. Because you see the back, like, wow, these guys don't seem like they do on they do out there in the ring. They seem like they actually seem pretty cool. And then the good guys, they're kind of like, They're kind of like jerks. But
That's an old adage. I've heard that before. It's funny to hear you say that the bad guys in wrestling are usually the nicest guys, and the guys that are, the baby faces on TV are not that nice in person. That's interesting.
It was weird. But like I said, I was around the business, my whole life. I had different jobs in the business. Like all my jobs have been wrestling related. Like, everything I was through my dad's promotion. I really haven't had a job outside of wrestling. So people ask me too, it's like, what would you be if you weren't a wrestler? It's like, bro, I have no idea. I think it was just inevitable. You've been a wrestler no matter what.
It's been ingrained in your whole life, right? At this point.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So during the Monday Night Wars, for example, were you more a WWE guy, WCW? Did you kind of dabble with both?
Man, I was the guy that flipped back and forth. My favorite stuff was the cruiserweights. They would be on the first hour or something, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first hour I watched. I love the cruiserweights. I always like I always loved the flippy dudes, as I say back in those days. And then the rest, like whoever had the better angles or stories, I went back and forth. I didn't want to miss Rock's promos or Stone Cold's promos, and then you wanted to see the NWO what they did. So it was fun just going back and forth, man.
That's great.
Very cool.
That's great. Go ahead, Fred.
I wish we had DVR back in those days. I could watch.
I know, right?
I know.
Yeah, both.
I know. It would have been much more convenient.
It's so convenient.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Somewhere in my house, I have, or my parents' house, I should say at this point, I have VHS tapes somewhere that say like Raw January, probably 1997 on it, or Nitro, same thing. So I just got to find a VCR where I can rewatch them. WWE Network, of course, but.
I was going to say it's so convenient today, right, with DVR for like NXT and for Dynamite if you want to watch both. You think back 2020.
Really, you don't have to miss a show if you don't want to.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing what technology has become these days. I just wish it was around in the 90s. But
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. And it's great too, because then you go to some sites or some, you do and they highlight the shows for you, so you can skip out on whatever you want to skip out on.
Yeah.
Right to the, right to whatever it is you want to see.
But Carlito, speaking of that, I want to get your opinion. Do you think that hurt the business at all? Like maybe part of the lore of the Monday Night Wars was the sense that, you couldn't miss it. You had to watch. You had to be home by 9:00, Whereas now, like we were just saying, you can miss it and it doesn't really make a difference because you could see right on your phone what's happening as it's happening. You could DVR. Do you think like that sense of urgency is gone and that has hurt the business at all?
Maybe it has, but I just think the product has just evolved. It's just changed.
Right.
Like
right.
it's some of the stuff but like I said before too, society's changed too. Like it's hard. It's really hard to be a bad guy these days because everybody gets offended and everybody wants to cancel. You know what I mean? And then a lot of stuff too. Just we have changed the society.
Right.
Like I'll see some stuff. I'll see some stuff that I've done. And I start cringing. I'm like, oh my god, did I do that on TV? Like, wow, if I did that today, people would go mad. You know what I mean? So
it's crazy how much has changed.
Yeah, I did some
even just in the last 10 to 15 years, like.
Yeah, and it's just and then of course wrestling is based on stereotypes, but you can't stereotype anybody these days because it's I don't know, it's just everybody gets offended, man. It's crazy.
I know it's hard. Like you said, it's hard to be a bad guy in today's wrestling landscape, or today's landscape of the world.
Yeah,
it's a hard situation to be in.
Yeah.
You mentioned the old school, the bad guy vibe, and I know we're bouncing around a lot with your career, so I appreciate, you kind of rapid fire and all these questions with us. But, I loved your vignettes when you were coming up. It felt so old school heelish, like we saw the $1 Million Man's vignettes when he was debuting way back when. And, yours always made me laugh. I mean, kicking the sandcastle or spitting the apple in the old man's face. I mean, your vignettes were awesome. But to me, being a fan for as long as I've been, you definitely had some similarities to Scott Hall's portrayal of Razor Ramon. So I guess my question was, did you notice that at the time? Did anybody bring that up to you at the time when you're doing these vignettes, that you kind of have a little Razor Ramon-ish vibe to it? Or was that brought up after the fact? Did you watch his vignettes at all, to kind of get some ideas? Or did you not even think, Razor Ramon and Carlito were just...
Well, yeah, I'll tell you a funny story about that. I thought I used to get it all the time. Oh, you're just the Razor Ramon. I felt like I was nothing like Razor Ramon. Then I was at the Hall of Fame. And I think they inducted Razor Ramon right before my dad.
Mhm.
And I'm looking at, they're showing some of his old vignettes. And I'm like, oh my God, those are like, I just rehashed vignettes of Razor Ramon's. And I wonder why people got, I said, oh my God, they're the exact same thing almost. Even the one where I spat in the apple in the vendor's face, I forgot. Razor Ramon did something. He grabbed some other fruit and he just spat. It wasn't a vendor, but he spat at somebody else. I was like, oh my God, wow, okay. It just, I can see why people would say that.
I got to ask you, for the one that you did where you spit the apple in the guy's face, I mean, how many takes did that take? I mean, I hope it was only one take for that poor man, but how many takes did that take?
I think most everything was like about one take, I think. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember exactly, but I think everything was like about 1 or 2 takes at the most.
Was there anybody that was like, no, I mean, of course, with COVID, nobody would allow you to do it. No, but was there anybody that was just like, no way am I allowing, or did they understand that it's part of the gimmick and it's part of the character and it really helped the character?
Yeah, if they did, they probably kept it to themselves. And then some people feel like totally honored by it. They're like, oh my God, yeah, dude, who's taking the spit? I'll do it. All right, well, it's all right. But, that's weird for me because I wouldn't let anybody spit on me. You know what I mean?
You're right, exactly.
I'm sure they were troopers.
I'll get that too. Like I'll be on the street and or somewhere people will like say, how much do you charge to spit? What? Why would you even want that? Why would you pay for that?
That's kind of odd.
I don't know, man. It's just weird.
Oh man, that's funny. Good stuff. So let's talk about your run as because you were former also tag team champion in addition to United States and Intercontinental champion. What did it feel like to team up with? I believe it was with. I could be wrong, so I apologize. It was with your cousin, right? You guys were the Unified Tag Team Champions.
Hey, it's weird because primo means cousin in Spanish,
right?
But Primo's actually my brother. So it's my brother. Yeah, I mean, it was fun, man. It was great too to work, with Miz and Morrison, which they're great guys to work against. They were a lot of fun, and just being on the road, it was cool. Just being on the road. I didn't get to do it much in Puerto Rico because I had left when my brother was starting. So for him to join me in WWE and just travel the road with him was great.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was only a little bit of overlap, right, with you guys being him coming in and you kind of 1 foot out the door at the time. Would you say?
Yeah, exactly.
Would you say out of the three different championships that you had, is it safe to say that was the one that you're most proud of, being tag team champion, or are they all about the same?
No, probably the one. Yeah, the one with my brother probably. I think was probably the one. I'm little brother's dream of that as a kid. You know what I mean? To be in WWE and be tag champ. So yeah, that's the. I don't know if it's the one I'm most proud of, but this is the most special one to me.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Fred.
Yeah, no. Speaking of teaming, with your brother, with Primo, and then Primo would go on to team with Epico, who is your cousin. Just any thoughts if what you would think like of a 3-man team, kind of like the New Day, the three of you together? We never got to see that in WWE. How do you think that would translate onto TV? Do you guys think it would be a cool storyline and something you'd like to do?
Yeah, I think so. I think that'd be great because nobody knows them better than me, and I could get the most out of them. And I'd be having a blast because I'm with my family. So I think they'd be having fun too. So I think there's definitely some inner workings between us that I think if we got on TV would actually entertain people.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you see it right now with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso, and eventually when Jimmy comes back from injury. Yeah, I think it's something that would definitely be intriguing to see on television. And then the history with your father, I mean, it writes itself, really, Yeah,
and our families go back, since back in the day, man. Us, the Fatus, just the Island Boys. We've always been a close-knit group.
Right. You got a storyline built in right there. And we never got to see you and Roman Reigns, in the ring together because you were gone before he even debuted. So that might be something.
That'd be. Well, I don't know. He's a big boy though, man. I saw him in person. I didn't realize how big he is.
Yeah, so are you though. I mean, you're pretty big guy yourself.
I thought I was big. I thought I was big until I saw him. I was like, oh, wait.
Since we're just real quick, since we're talking about the Samoan dynasty and everything, did you check out that Yokozuna documentary, Icons?
I haven't, but I heard it's pretty good.
It is. It's awesome. I was just wondering.
Check it out, yeah.
Yeah, it really is. WWE's documentaries are always bar none fantastic. I don't think
I haven't seen any. I didn't see Undertaker's Last Ride thing, but hopefully I can see it soon.
Sure. Well, that kind of leads me to my next question I was going to ask. Are you an active watcher these days of all the products that are out there, or do you kind of just dabble?
Yeah, I try to keep up with all the shows. You know what I mean? I like to stay in the know, and I like to, like I said, it's fun too. Like to see, watch the shows, and then somebody pops up like, oh, I met them like how many years ago? Like the other day I saw Toni Storm. I'd seen her, I don't know how many years back. She's like a 19-year-old kid just starting, and then to see her now at the Rumble, I was like, wow, she's come a long way. And then Apollo, like just a bunch of these kids that all of a sudden, it's just fun to see that. And also I like to keep up with, the guys and just, to see, what's going on in the business and see how it's changing, and just to study how the crowds react and how the business has kind of evolved.
And
just so I don't get, left behind. I mean,
right.
That was going to be my follow-up. In your opinion, how much has the business changed since the last time you showed up?
The business changed a lot. Like, it changed. I would say about around the time I left is kind of when things started changing quick. But that's also when, social, because I left just as social media was picking up. And, like I said, it's not only the business, just society, everything's kind of changed and evolved. Sure. Like I remember I was watching something the other day, Sable walking down the hall or something with Tori in these sexy outfits, barely, half naked. Oh, we can't do that these days. I mean, that's just, it's just different, man. We can't do that no more.
Yes,
it looks wrong too. You know what I mean? Even though we lived it back in the day, we see it now. We're like, oh, wait a minute, maybe that's not. You know what I mean?
Right. You realize now, yeah, all aspects.
Like, oh, maybe.
Even the stuff as simple as, your Beat the Clock match was against Victoria. I don't necessarily know if we're seeing man versus woman in a match anymore. It's just that the times have changed so much in terms of what's allowed and what isn't, and the cancel, as you mentioned before, and everything. It's just, it's one of those things that it's going to continue to. I guess it really is the PG era.
Yeah. You just got to adjust with the times, man. It's the way it is. I'm not one of those old schools that complains about it. It just is what it is, man. You just got to, change with everything else.
Speaking of the time change, yeah. Oh, no, Nick.
No, I was going to say, I have one more question for you, Carlito, and I appreciate your time in jumping on and everything. So I was there. I know Miguel was there. I'm talking the Royal Rumble in New York. You're in the ring. Cena comes out as a surprise entrant. Did you have any idea he was that? I feel like that was the first time we saw like a one of those surprise entrants. We've seen Edge now since then and so many others, but that was the first like real surprise entrant to me, being a fan. And we were there. To me, the loudest pop I've ever been. I've been to, playoff football games. I've been to, World Series games. Loudest pop I've ever heard is John Cena entering that Royal Rumble. Did you feel like that's the loudest pop? Did you not hear that? Because you're in there, you're in the ring. And did you know that he was coming out number 30?
I can't remember, because I think that was around that time they started kayfabe the boys too. They do a lot of stuff. They went, like, I'll tell you a story about the Elimination Chamber of the one where Edge came out. I had no idea Edge was coming out at the end. I remember Cena's telling me the finish, like, we did the whole Elimination Chamber, and then he goes, hey, yeah, I learned a roll-up. I said, a roll-up? That's kind of anticlimactic to end the chamber. Oh, no, it's going to work, whatever. Don't worry, trust me. Like, all right, well, you guys are the bosses. So we do the roll-up and whatever, and then Edge is like, oh, okay, they got me. I see.
Yeah.
Okay, now I get it. So yeah, it might have been one of those things where they didn't tell us. I don't remember, but I don't remember. I remember feeling the energy of the crowd. I didn't know the level of pop, but I just remember that everybody was fired up when he came back out, and I got fired up too, because when you see people get excited, even though the pop's not for you, you're still a part of it. You still feel
100%.
It charges you up.
I remember being at the Garden. I know Nick said we were both there. I remember being there with my friends, and man, the energy that whole night was just tremendous. And we're Jersey guys, the three of us. I'm a big Giants fan, and you could hear throughout the entire night those "Let's Go Giants" chants because it was the week before they played the Patriots in the '08 Super Bowl. But man, that was one of the hottest crowds I've ever been a part of. So it was really cool, just the entire night. And then to cap it off with Cena's return, I mean, the place was like literally almost shaking, I felt like. So.
Damn.
Yeah. And it's funny too how hypocritical people are, because I think around the time they started booing him too, right? It was the Cena
Oh yeah.
suck stuff. And then he comes out, he comes to surprise, everybody just goes nuts. So
It's funny you say that. He comes out, the crowd goes absolutely unglued. The first offensive move he hits, it's all boos. It's almost like everybody was just shocked, and then first time he hits somebody, boo. It's funny you say that.
He's definitely.
I don't understand. That's weird, man. Because I don't get that. Because you see a lot of booing and all this hating. But I remember when LeBron James went to Miami. Remember everybody hated him, but yet his jersey was the biggest seller. Brady, everybody hates Brady for some reason. He always has, his jersey is always going to sell the most. And then Cena was always the biggest seller. Yet, so it's weird.
People love to hate, but yet they're still making the money. So that's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
The money in the miles
exactly.
is the old saying, and right.
Or they like to be secret fans sometimes, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. One of the things that we alluded to it about your vignettes, but one of the most infamous parts of your character was the apple spit, right? Was there any particular one that you did or person that you did it to that just was a surreal moment for you, or was a special moment, like you can't believe you're doing this to this person? Just curious,
I can't remember. No, because to me it was just business. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like this, wrestling always has been a job. You know what I mean? They always ask me, like, "Where's your favorite place to work? Or what's your favorite match?" I said, I don't know, man. They told me to go out there and do this. I go out there, and as long as the crowd had fun, you know what I mean, they entertained them. That was I always know there was always guys I didn't want to wrestle. But I'm not gonna name anybody. But I'm just saying. But I never had I always had like a not favorite list, but I never had a favorite list of who to wrestle.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, spitting. I remember, it was just, what am I doing tonight? All right, it's on him. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
And they, a lot of them were the same way. Like, oh, he's spitting it on me. Whatever. Just be professional.
Business.
Yeah, just business.
Gotcha. Well, is there anyone? You said you had a not favorite list, but is there anybody now that you made your return? Really, we don't know if it was one night, 2 nights at the Rumble and Raw, but if you were to come back at any more capacity, is there anybody on the current roster that you didn't get to face in your original run that would intrigue you to have a one-on-one match with? I know we just talked about Roman's a little while ago. You say he's a big boy, but is there anybody, it could be Roman or somebody else, that you'd say, you know what, I want to get in there with that guy. I think I could really put on a great match with him or tell a great story. Anybody in particular that stands out to you?
Well, I think that's the cool thing, is it's a whole new batch of wrestlers, you know what I mean? I went back, I saw some old faces, but mainly it was a bunch of new faces. So, you could put me in there with anybody. And, it's just, what do you call it? It's just, it's a whole plethora of people to choose from. It's great.
It's like a dream match.
Yeah, a lot of dream matches that could happen.
I don't know about dream matches, but there'd be matches.
So I guess the $1 million question, if we're, allowed to ask it, is what does the future hold for you, Carlito?
As of now, I don't know. I'm not kayfabe or anything. I don't know. If it was a one-time thing, it was great. I had fun. I had a blast. And if there's more to come, I'm also open to that. But as of now, I have no answer right now. I'm open to returning. I'd like to return, but as of now, if I don't, that's okay too. So I don't know.
Well, like Nick mentioned earlier, I mean, you are in tremendous shape. And I think I speak on behalf of a lot of wrestling fans that we'd love to see you back in a more full-time capacity. So, you look great at the Rumble. The next night on Raw, you had a fantastic match. I know I was really excited to hear that you were going to be on the show that night too. So we hope to see you back in the WWE, obviously very, very shortly. So we want to thank you for your time today. Appreciate you jumping on with us. Before you go, though, is there anything you'd like to plug, maybe where people can find you? Anything you want to kind of put out there?
Let's see. I don't know. I got some appearances, but I don't know exactly where exactly. I just put the dates and the place I got to be. But no, my Twitter, my Instagram is just at Lito Colon 279. Follow if you want. I don't like when people ask, they say, oh, follow me, because what makes you so interesting? I don't want to follow you. So follow at your own will if you want. other than that, yeah, I mean, I was doing good in the acting thing, but COVID kind of messed that up. So hopefully I can start that back up, and we'll see how it goes from there.
Carlito, I just want to say real quick, appreciate everything you did to entertain me as a kid. I hope you look back at your WWE career as favorably as I know I did, and Miguel and Fred did as well. You were a great character, great on the mic, had a very believable finishing move that I would not want to take, but overall, man, a lot of great memories watching you in the ring. Just one last question. Favorite match you've ever had?
Favorite match, actually, I think I tagged with my dad and my brother in Puerto Rico against, I forget who. I forget what year this was. But for me, it was just a cool family moment, being in there with my dad and my brother. That's probably the one that's most special to me.
I can understand that.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, sir, go ahead, Fred.
Yeah, I want to thank you myself for coming on, jumping on with us, and for a little bit. Appreciate it, and hope to see you back one day. If I could describe this interview in one word, it'd be cool.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, man.
For your time, sir. Appreciate it.
Guys, stay safe.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You too.
Thanks. I know.
All right. So that was awesome. We appreciate Carlito jumping on here today with us. Definitely really, really cool. What a great guy too, right, guys? I mean, what a tremendous guy to have a conversation with. I hope we see him back in the WWE soon. I think that was a fantastic interview with him. I look forward to hopefully getting definitely more people on this show in the future, guys. As always, make sure you check out all of our shows. As Nick mentioned earlier, you can find all of our shows archived on our website. But in addition to that, you can certainly catch us on all different kinds of platforms. We're talking YouTube, Spotify, the radio app, iTunes, right? All the different platforms that are out there for podcasts. We appreciate everyone jumping on and for the support and for the love for this show. We'll be back next week as we jump right on into the WrestleMania season. A lot of really great things coming down the pike here. So, gentlemen, I hope you had as much fun as I did.
Yeah, we got the Elimination Chamber next Sunday.
That's right. Yes.
Chamber talk, I'm assuming.
We're a week away from the Elimination Chamber, which means next week, join us back here for our prediction show for the Elimination Chamber.
I got a lot to say about that, by the way, and I'll talk about it. So Edge goes through 29 other superstars for a chance to win the title, but 5 guys get picked into a match and get a title match right then and there. Something doesn't add up there, and I definitely will be bitching about that next week in our Elimination Chamber prediction show.
What a cliffhanger to leave us on. So everyone tune in next week, not only for our predictions around Elimination Chamber, but to hear Nick Fiorentino bitch about his thoughts of how 5 guys can get a world title shot. So,
but too bad Goldberg's not in it. That's all.
I'm right there with you.
Right there with you. So awesome, guys. Thanks so much for everyone jumping on, and we'll see you next week.
You got it.
Take care, guys.